So I finished listening to an audiobook yesterday by Ken Follett, Follett, and he was best known for his spy novels and adventure stories, and then he started writing historical novels. And the first one that I heard, well, it was like over 800 pages, so I got it as an audiobook, but it was called Pillars of the Earth. And he had done all this research of going to these cathedrals in Europe, and then he got inspired to write a book about the people who built the cathedrals and all the intrigue and, you know, everything that went on in the background. And it was over 50 hours of listening time, and I enjoyed it so much that I actually listened to it twice. And then, not right away, of course. So I've ended up listening to quite a few of his other books. He wrote 2 more books about the cathedral that were basically spaced about 200 years apart, so you could get a feel for where it was in history and how much things changed, and lots of intrigue with the Christian church and the Catholics, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and all the power controls that people were trying to do, you know, to get like becoming bishops and, you know, stuff like that. But the one that I just finished is called A Place Called Freedom. And I didn't realize it until I was almost near the end of it that they were going to mention Charlottesville. So it starts out in Scotland, and the main characters are this guy that is basically born into being a coal miner, and how the coal miners are owned by the lord of the manor. And so then they had all this, you know, like double and triple stories going on about different people's lives, and, you know, the difference between the coal miners and the aristocracy and all that. But anyway, to get to the point where there was 2 parts to the book, and he ended up getting on a ship going to Virginia, because he had eventually gone to London, and in the course of all the stuff he was doing, he started unloading the coal from the ships when they arrived in London, and how the mistreatment of the workers who unloaded the coal, and the guys were trying to not pay them. So he basically started a strike, and then he got, you know, he became a criminal. And so he was sent to the New World as a criminal. But the aristocracy that owned the coal mine that, you know, he was growing up around, one of the sons from there actually had been given a tobacco plantation by his dad. And so he was traveling on the same ship with his new bride and a couple of really fine horses and stuff like that. And so when they get to Virginia, he becomes an indentured servant to the people that he was trying to leave, which was like, oh man, call about twists and turns in the story. So he couldn't get away from these people. But he had such a strong personality and such a desire to live as a free man that the aristocracy's the wife that you know, this guy had married, turned out to be abused by her husband. And so there was a relationship that had started in Scotland but then ended up in Virginia, and then the 2 of them ran off together, and I mean, it was a very long, convoluted story and everything, but so they ended up traveling through Charlottesville trying to get to the Cumberland Gap. And it was just like some of the things that they were talking about, you know, like names of places and roads that were just like Indian trails originally and stuff like that. Seminole Trail, you know, used by the Seminole Indians and that kind of thing. Well, that turned into Route 29, which is like a 4-lane highway now, and connects to Washington, and it's just, you know, like busy traffic all the time, and you want to stay off of it because it's, you know, so much traffic. And but this all happened even before Jefferson and before you know, the Revolutionary War. And so that was a very interesting story. So I like to listen to audiobooks because then I can do other things, multitask. You know, instead of having a TV on or a video playing or you know, even just a YouTube like documentary or, you know, whatever, I listen to an audiobook, and then it creates pictures in my mind, and you think about who these people are, and they have all the same problems and challenges that people everywhere have had all the time, and it's kind of interesting to find out how people solve their problems and find solutions and just keep going, you know, just, it's day to day and week to week, and just get on with your life. So thought I'd share that. So I have to start a new audiobook today, but I'm not sure which one I'm gonna listen to, if I'm gonna get a new one or listen to one out of my library, because I don't know, I have like over 100 books in my library now, and a few of them I like to listen to over, but there are some that I really don't care to listen to. And then there's, every once in a while, there's one that I get, like an example would be, I was looking to find an audiobook that would be, you know, like if it was a book, it would be like a page turner, you know, something you really want to listen to. So I will go through the reader's reviews, and if somebody, like a book has like 4 stars, 5 stars, whatever, then I would be most likely to give it a try. But there was this one, oh man, I should have had a clue when it, you know, I found out that it had something to do with a shipwreck and they had been whalers and, you know, stuff like that. So it got into like the nitty-gritty of all of the you know, like killing animals and seals and clubbing them to death, and, you know, like a survival thing. And I'm like, I have to stop reading this. And then I gave a scathing review to it about, you know, beware, you know, this book may not be what you think it is. And so that's one of the ones I didn't finish. And, you know, classics like Moby Dick, I tried to listen to that one because I thought, well, you know, it's such a classic and it's required reading, you know, in certain classes and stuff like that. But when they get into like harpooning whales and getting into the like blood and guts of, I mean, forget it. I'm not going to listen to that stuff. What a beautiful little scene here. You know, one of the things that started making me think about how hard it was for the original, you know, settlers here to survive is they had to find their own food. You know, they had to shoot game and they had to grow gardens, and we have gotten so soft. Like, you know, even if I had to grow a garden now, I couldn't survive. I couldn't feed myself. It would have to be like a total community effort. And I would be one of the people that would do the cooking. It's like, you grow it, I'll cook it. Or you go bring some game back and clean it up and give it to me so it doesn't look like an animal anymore, you know, just like parts of it, and I'll cook that. Because if I had to kill my own animals too, forget it. Oh well. So I don't want to make this video too long. So talk to you guys later.